Good morning. Faith, hope, love. There we go. That's it. Sit down now. Oh, Lord. Well, in my estimation, it's the most beautiful passage ever written about faith, hope, and love by St. Paul. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I'm not going to read it in, it's there for anyone who's interested. But it ends with, and the greatest of these, there is faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. But there's faith, there's hope, and then love, and it speaks of what is love and so on. So it's a wonderful passage. We're listening to Beethoven Late String Quartet number 13. He wrote these right at the end of his life. His dates are 1770 to 1826. He died at the age of 56 years old only. Profoundly deaf, of course. It's curious, really, because he was a pianist primarily. I don't know how much he would have played any of these stringed instruments. And yet he wrote for them, and the music is called contrapuntal and was absolutely radical, I think, at the time, not understood. And it is difficult to listen to. You've got to be in the right sort of frame of mind. I think of it as end of the world music, and yet written getting on for 200 years ago, very nearly 200 years ago. He met Napoleon, Beethoven, actually thought he was a good egg, and then when he realized, he dedicated, I think it was the Third Symphony to him, and then he realized, and he tore the page, the frontispiece page, tore it up. Very passionate man, Beethoven. Well, we do live in troubled times, that's for sure. All around us there are troubles. God has granted me this wonderful gift of a rock-solid faith through my own personal tragic life, whatever, which I'm not going to go into. I've spoken of it elsewhere. My son committed suicide at the age of 18. He'll be 30 now. That's the heart of it. So there we are. And I've turned to God rather than anywhere else. In the preceding 32 years. So here I am at 65. Well, I must have got something right. Never mind all the insults along the way. Why do people do that? They try and drag you down to their level, and I just refuse. I'm with God. I'm lifting mine eyes up to the hills, from whence cometh my salvation. I'm not interested in descending into the mire, thank you. I get worse, thank heavens, as I get older. Well, what's the point? Today's the only day we've got. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow hasn't happened. Well, why be a miserable old sort of what's it? If I go out into the world, then, I put on my best Christian face. Sure, there's struggles off camera, as it were. As with all of us, it's just life. So, faith, hope, love. I mean, the world's just as a Christian, to me, that is my absolute best path to understanding the world. People, essentially, isn't it? I had this little backyard, and I had to go out yesterday to hospital. Anyway, come back home, and there were two butterflies and various bumblebees just fluttering by and sucking up. I've got a lilac at the back, so that's a favourite of butterflies. It's got a wonderful scent and no doubt nectar and all the rest of it. So it draws them in. And they are such miraculous creatures, butterflies. I think Victorians especially used to have these huge collections of butterflies. But they are just miraculous creatures. I mean, so extraordinarily colourful and beautiful. And yet they've got this lifespan of just a matter of days, I think. And then they obviously rest up for the winter and so on. But they've been around for millions of years. It's miraculous. That's just one of nature's miracles. So never mind all the blooming horrid stuff. I'm settling into my place here, and mercifully less troubles from the neighbours, etc. So fine. So I'm fine, sort of thing. And how are you? That is how I like to be. How can I add to the balance, on the balance side of the good in this world? That's what interests me. Well, I'm not out in Africa, for instance, working amongst poor black people. I have really tried to do that amongst my people. I'm a white African, but a white South African born in Cape Town, but I had a missionary, Scottish missionary ancestor. My father was from King's Lynn, Norfolk. Fought on the Somme in the First World War, etc., for the Royal Norfolks, and went out to Africa later. Met my mother out there, etc. So I'm of British origins, but also born there, Cape Town, so that makes me a white African. So I've tried to work in the townships out there. Looked long and hard at it anyway, and it didn't work. Well, then we come to thy will be done. God's will and not mine. Well, if I've tried something as hard as I can try and it didn't work really, I can only conclude that it wasn't meant to be. On the other hand, things one barely tries at all just seem... I'm on the cheap YouTube, so I don't pay for it. Oh, I have adverts. My whole body's creaky. Creak, creak, this time of day. Oh, they're the naughty birdies. Go away. My morning tea, juice, coffee. Light. The light of Christ shining. Amen. Ha! So, tra-la, tra-lee, tra-lo. Faith, hope, love. That's it. Amen.